listen, you've got to find a way to get over here. It's unbelievable. I mean, you will not believe your eyes. This place is changing so fast.
I set off for 1 year of research to live in 12 countries and rediscover the inspiring relationship between people and work. Because work is meant to serve life, not the other way around.
What used to be about cooperation and the improvement of life is now about something else. It's leaving people unhappy, stressed, and sick.
The purpose of work changed, so I set out to discover what we can do about it.
We think people work to earn money, but humans started work long before we paid them. Back then, we did it for a simple reason, that we could do something to improve our life and at the same time help someone else. And through this simple work, we've pushed our trust in each other, our creativity, our ingenuity to build an incredible world. In this episode, we explore a country that is quite literally one of a kind.
China, our relationship goes back so far. I've been in love with this country for well over a decade, and now I'm here to explore work, because you can't have a conversation about the world of work and not factor in China. There's so many things going on here. There's so many things that have been going on here for a long, long time. So come on, let's go check it out.
China is one of my favorite countries to travel to. I love it here. It has so many things going for it. Great food, fascinating history, incredible sights, intoxicating energy in the street, and change happening so fast that every time I come back, I experience something new. Yet the reason why I'm here this time is because amongst it all, it is some of the world's most extraordinary things happening in regards to work. And I think that everyone should be doing what they can to better understand this country.
I would say past 30 years, China is learning a lot of things.
40 years ago, China's GDP hovered around only $150 billion annually. Nearly 20 years later, in 1997, it broke through the $1 trillion ceiling.
Most people don't understand the rate of positive progress happening here.
I'm in a suburb outside of Shanghai in this beautiful community that shows what life is like for more and more Chinese families. I've been coming to China for about 15 years, and I can't get over the change that happens every time I come back. It's unbelievable at an unbelievable pace.
The work lesson here in China is change. They've experienced so much of it. But don't just think about change within a country. The impact is for your life. How do you, not a country, but you, work through fast-paced change?
Life in China has been transforming. Lots of people rising to a higher standard of living, a higher quality of life. Of course, in a country with almost 1.4 billion, it can't be without its challenges. But my experience here is that life has been improving for many people fast. Yet that doesn't mean it's all easy, because all of it means that China has needed to get very comfortable with something very specific.
Change. If there's one word that describes China over the last 40 years, it's got to be that one. What's changing and what's not changing? That's the question that really defines China at this moment. So I'm in a city that's thousands of years old. Literally all around me there's creeks and canals, and you can see how people have lived here for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And to get here, I took a bullet train that took me 24 minutes at a breakneck pace. There's nowhere else in the world as unique as China right now.
China's been opening its borders in stages since 1978. It's created this rush of progress.
Since 1978, China has experienced the largest internal migration in human history. Nearly 160 million people. That's almost 12% of today's population.
Think about what all of that change would mean to a family, to an individual, to a business, to a country. My experience growing up in North America is that sometimes the Western world wrestles with change because we viewed it as a choice. how fast we want things to move. In China, for most people, change has been a necessity, a requirement.
So we all hear so much about China, but if you really want to come and see what China feels like, what the lifestyle is like here, you got to come back into these little pockets, these old little neighborhoods that have these busy little alleyways where all of the life is lived. There's people living and cooking and doing all sorts of stuff in these back little pockets. And so this is where the real life of China happens, in these old neighborhoods.
On one side of life in China, you've got tradition nudging itself along. Just like everywhere in the world, people get up, do their thing, move through their day, and then do it all again. So you've still got people living in China similar to how they've been living for a long time. On the flip side, you've also got an economy running so fast that it feels like when you're in China, you're getting a glimpse into the future. And that's what makes this place so fascinating. As a result, China's become this unique place in the world where the eyes of the world have been able to watch a massive country go through its industrialization. That's why when you think China, you think factories, manufacturing, transport, shipping. But what you should be thinking is change, just how much of it this country has experienced. I get that when you watch a video on China and work, you want to hear about what it's like for an average person. But to me, the lesson here is about change and how hard that is. And when we look into our own future to see where our work is going, our life is going, change, in fact, accelerating change should be on all of our horizons. So the question then becomes, how does each of us handle extraordinary change? And that's what I've gathered from China since I first came here in 2006. That change is hard, but that each of us also has an incredible ability to adapt. The reality is that you're about to encounter more and more change. Change will define our next few decades at work, so there are two things you need to equip yourself for. The first, get more comfortable with the discomfort of change, because adaptation will be central to your future success. Number two, however, is that when it comes to change, we often only ask one question. How do we keep up with it? We never ask the equally important second question. What are those things that shouldn't change? Because if the first question is the one that helps you stay connected to an economy and world that's shifting, the second helps you stay connected to the deeper factors that have not changed in a long time. Being human, being in community, being happy. Like no other place on earth, China helps you understand those two questions better than anywhere else. How do you keep up with change? And how do you hold steady on those things that should always stay the same? Two questions that China forces you to ask, that require two answers that you should actively pursue. Given how important it will be to your future, if you want to experience change at the highest level, go to China. It will not disappoint. And I'll see you next time from Japan.